again at Tech Particles. This is episode number 5, the long-awaited Haswell info episode. I've been putting together a lot of information, waiting for something to be given out that we can feed off of for a while, at least until it gets here. We know we're only a couple months away, and things are looking pretty good so far. Haswell promises to bring a lot of good stuff to especially mobile platforms. I think probably later in the year, we're going to see some good stuff for tablets and Ultrabooks and those new convertible tablets that are starting to kind of take off. I've tested a couple. You're going to see videos for that, and hopefully you'll be able to get something out of them. But in the meantime, stay tuned. Let's take a look at some slides and some info and a breakdown of what Haswell is going to be bringing to the table in a few short months.
All right, let's get started. Here's a little intro that I created. Tech Particles putting out information on Haswell. Now understand, all this information I've gotten has either been attributed inside the slide itself, or it has just been stuff I've gathered throughout different portions of the internet that had consistencies lay within them from source to source, so there was no real reason to attribute anything. It all came from unconfirmed sources, so it's basically, this is the rumor mill in a nutshell. Here we have the highlights. As you can see, the Haswell is the 4th generation Intel Core microprocessor, also built on a 22 nanometer process, just like Ivy Bridge was. It's going to have next generation Intel HD graphics. You see it'll have DirectX 11.1, OpenGL 4.0, and OpenCL 1.2 support, all on the chip itself. Now mind you, this is all the graphics that are on the actual microprocessor. This isn't a discrete graphics card or a separate graphics chip that's on the motherboard itself. This is all on the processor, just like it was for Ivy Bridge. And as you can see there, there's going to be improvements in 3D and media performance, and as well as the ability to have 3 simultaneous displays. Now for onboard graphics, that's saying quite a bit, and they're saying a claimed 4K and 2K resolution for these for the graphics output. That's going to be, I don't know, I'm going to need to see that before I'm going to believe that. But this came from this slide came from the Intel Developers Conference, so this is what Intel's claiming themselves. And here we have what we know so far as the known processor breakdown. Now, these are all kind of hard. These are all kind of hard to read, and so I'll point out, basically up here at the top you've got a Core i7 4770K. That's going to be their top end chip. That's going to be clocked at 3.5. It's going to have 8 megs of cache, 4 cores with hyper-threading, which will give you 8 virtual cores. Memory speed of 1600 megahertz in DDR3. We'll have Turbo Boost technology, and it will be an unlocked processor. The next step down is going to be the 4670K. Now the 46XX series, whatever you want to call it, that's something new. They usually went from 47 to the 45s, or I mean, before they went to the 37 to the 35 series. Now, I don't know what the reasoning behind adding that in, except for they're going to have varying levels of onboard graphics on these chips, so I'm assuming that probably has something to do with that. But those are going to be, the 46 series are going to be 4 cores, 4 threads, so there will be no hyper-threading on those. This slide came from the Intel Developers Conference as well. However, I got the slide itself from guru3d.com, so Guru3D, thanks a lot for the info. And next I want to talk about the good stuff, okay? Now, obviously and foremost, this is another measurable performance increase over Ivy Bridge. The new board, new processor is going to be something you're going to have to buy. But the rest of your existing system will be salvageable. Graphics cards, memory, what have you. All that stuff you'll be able to use just like you did before. This is an evolutionary step. It's not a revolutionary new thing. It's also going to have lower power consumption, which equates to less heat output. And there's also a lot of speculation to native Thunderbolt ports from the chipset. Now this is going to be called the Lynx Point chipset. It's going to be entirely It's going to be different than the Z77 or the Z68 was before it. These, from what I understand, this is going to be called the Z87 chipset, and there's going to be the derivatives off of that. So you're going to have Z87, H87, probably a B87 or a B85, and so forth. You get the idea. There's also supposed to be up to 6 native USB 3.0 ports and 6 native SATA 6 gigabit per second ports. And above and beyond all, it's another good reason to build a new PC. Lord knows that us enthusiasts, we really like to do that. So what's the point of Haswell? Lower power consumption, of course. Okay, lower power consumption means that you can theoretically overclock better. It's gonna, it's great for the green people and whatever, but it's there. That's one of the big things, and that will lead into what it appears to me the true point of Haswell is going to be. Better on-chip graphics, of course, and to me this just seems like it's another stopgap on the way to complete mobilization of our gadgets. Okay, seems like we're getting it's like another step away from the desktop and a step towards the portable things, like the iPad. Better performance? Yeah, it'll have better performance just because it'll put out lower heat and you can clock it a little higher. I see that happening. Oops, sorry about that. So I see this as being another stopgap on the way to complete mobilization. I believe that it's probably going to be another step away from the desktop and a step towards portable devices such as iPads and tablets and convertibles and all these things that we take with us now instead of work on at home. It's going to make it so it's easier just to have this stuff all in one place instead of, having to save files and put them on another machine or whatever. Better performance, of course. Lower heat output's going to equate to higher clock speeds and whatnot. New products, I see this maybe leading into something. Is this going to refine the convertible tablet slash ultrabooks that we've been seeing, such as the Lenovo Yoga and the Dell XPS 12? Or is it going to create an entirely new product line? Kind of like Apple did with the iPad. Nobody knew anything about a tablet before the iPad, and all of a sudden everybody's making iPads. So is it going to be yet another niche product that the public didn't know they needed? I mean, I fought getting an iPad for the longest time, and as you can see, now I have found a ton of good reasons to have an iPad. It's my go everywhere, do everything device, and even though I use Windows primarily, it's still really good. I love the iPad. Some early considerations to consider. Preliminary test between the Haswell top chip, the 4770K, and the Ivy top chip, the 3770K. There is not a huge difference in the performance increase. There is a measurable difference, but it's measurable at best. Is it landmark? No, not at all. Check it out, pull it up on the internet, and see for yourself. But it doesn't appear to me that it's going to be some landmark, huge thing that Intel seems to be building this up to be. Is it worth yet again upgrading to yet another socket and chip? That all depends on how often you upgrade. If you just did Ivy Bridge, let's wait until it's been out for a while. Let it get out of its growing pains stage. And that's, who knows how long that'll be, as my last bullet point there says. And you never want to buy a new chipset during the launch period. Let it hang out for 3 to 6 months and work the bugs out. If there needs to be a new iteration of the chipset, let them do it. But don't jump in and get frustrated and because they want to push this stuff to the market and make money. Don't become a victim of that. And here are some things that I've kind of come to the realization of during my research in Haswell. There are problems with the USB 3, specifically concerning the S3 wake states. It seems like there's people who have been testing early samples in the initial test bed machines, they're finding that there's issues with USB 3 on Haswell and the Lynx Point chipset. That needs to be worked out. I don't know how much more the public is going to take of these, these small, niglets that we're running into with every new chipset they come out with. Something to consider, the performance increases enough to justify its existence. Intel obviously thinks so, and of course if Intel says so, then it must be. Is it going to cost another Intel arm and a leg for the upgrade? Well, let's hope not, okay, because I know there's going to be a ton of people doing it, and people are already putting so much money into machines that they barely use to their full extent the way it is. Will the dreams of a new Enthusiast platform finally be realized? We've been waiting for Ivy Bridge E for how long now? I don't even think about it enough to quantify how long it's been. But based on what I've read so far, there's several sources indicating that, and they're all unconfirmed, of course, and they are confidential sources. Ivy Bridge E is likely to be skipped. Waiting even longer for a Haswell E-class chip is what we're probably going to likely do. And if that happens, the initial thought that I had, or the initial information I was getting, that we were going to be able to use X79 for Ivy Bridge E, well, that's out the window, because there's already a new chipset labeled the X99, which is supposed to be the new Enthusiast class chipset for Haswell E. Does that mean another socket? Yeah, you can probably bet on it. I don't see why they wouldn't do it at this point. The Enthusiast class people are the ones who are most likely to spend the money. And who's going to be first on deck for Haswell? Several motherboard manufacturers have already been working on prototypes. Gigabyte, ASRock, Asus, MSI, and of course Microsoft. Actually, Microsoft's been working rather closely with them. Their new iteration of Windows, which they've labeled Windows Blue, has been designed around Haswell and its new features, such as the lower power output, or the lower heat output, and the less power consumption. That is what kind of leads me into, them using new Haswell into more mobile shiznit, for lack of a better word. Just seems that they're really putting a lot of effort, time, money, and sweat into this, into new mobile platforms. Everybody wants to take everything with them. Frankly, I just like us all to slow down and enjoy our home computers for a change again. But everybody's on the go, so Intel's going to just perpetuate that. And also, NVIDIA is already allowing next-gen mobile GPUs in their testbed systems. I believe there is a German manufacturer, which I can't attribute the name to them right now. I don't recall what it is, but they've been allowed a GTX 780M GPU in their Haswell testbed laptop system. And that's about all the information that I was able to gather on that at this time. But NVIDIA is also working towards moving to the Haswell house. So it's going to be interesting to see where this lands. Take a look at that, and rewind this a couple times. Take a look at the slides, and what I'll probably do is I'll probably put this PowerPoint on a video coming up so that you can go back and peruse it. But anyway, thanks for joining me on Tech Particles, and if there's any information, or if you found any information here that may not be correct or may be skewed, please feel free to correct me. We're getting there. Quantum PC systems is starting to show their mark in the map, especially in the media creation world. So, but if you have a need, you want a gaming system, you want an audio system, you want something to make make your own music, make your own video productions such as this, let me help you out with getting you into a system that's going to work for you. And as a side note, there is an announcement coming on a new special deal for the month of April. So keep looking and watching Tech Particles. I've got some good stuff coming. Thank you again for watching.